this one time, she just caught me off guard, and it was just so I had come back from the gym, and I was driving, and just it was just another day. We were just driving home, and I remember seeing there's a pickup truck, older one, in front of me, in front of a light, and I remember I can see because the window it's like it's not tinted in the back, in this old pickup truck, so it's super clear. And there's a lady and an older man, and they were yelling at it. Well, mainly the lady was yelling at the dude, and I didn't know for what or whatever. But I was just sitting at the light watching the lady yell at him, and I remember thinking, "Oh, this is odd. You don't ever see." She was yelling at him, like pointing at him, and like
Because you were parked behind them, huh?
well, we were at the light. I was just waiting for the shit to turn green. But I only noticed it probably like 3 seconds before it started. And I was like, I wonder what they're yelling about, whatever. But
You can hear them, or they're just...
no, I couldn't hear them, but I can see that she was yelling because of the body language and how she was pointing at them. And so the shit turned green. They started going, and me, I wasn't thinking anything. I'm just like, whatever. They're just yelling. It's just whatever. And they started going, and probably doing like, after they started doing like 35, 40 miles an hour, the girl just opened the door and jumped out. So the truck is running. I was behind them. Probably I wasn't super close to them, and this is summertime. It's not winter, so you can stop. You're not worried about not being able to stop. And so I'm not like super close to the back of the truck, but I was maybe a car's length.
So you had enough time to stop.
Yeah, but I wasn't planning on trying to stop really fast. But so this lady jumps. It's a 2-lane road, so oncoming traffic has 2 lanes. You know, on our side there's 2 lanes, and the lady jumps out, and it was crazy because when she jumped out, I didn't get to see. I seen her head hit the floor because she landed.
How did she fall out though? Like, did she do them dives?
She opened the door and she just did this. She opened it and then she just jumped sideways. She like jumped to her right. She just jumped like trying to barrel roll type shit, I guess.
So like a dive, or just like
she just wanted to land on her side, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know, but so she jumped out. She landed on her side. Her elbow, I think her elbow hit first, and then her head hit. Boom, right? And then the truck, all I seen is the truck, the back tire, do a little tutum, and I was like, oh, I couldn't see if it was her leg or it was her arm or what the hell got caught underneath the truck. And then I couldn't see her anymore. But being in the truck, I couldn't see, like, I couldn't see her anymore. So I just had to like brake hella hard. And then she's lucky that there was no cars coming on the other lane, because they might have hit her. Might have hit her. So then I'm just sitting there and like dazed because I didn't know what the fuck to do. I was like, I'm not trained in any medical CPR, none of that shit, right? So what the fuck am I gonna do? But I was like, nobody's stopping. I can't go anymore because the dude ended up being her dad, and he kept driving.
But you said nobody was stopping. That what, people were going around?
Well, the people on the other lane, the oncoming traffic lanes, they just kept going. I stopped. The car behind me took like a few seconds before they stopped, but they stopped because I stopped. They didn't know that the lady was on the floor, and there was no cars
on the right lane.
On the right side, yeah. So I think she just got lucky because the dude, after the guy behind me seen I stopped, he turned, but he was like, he had slowed down enough, so he turned, and then he seen that there was a lady on the road, and then he stopped, and then every car behind us, there's no way they could come, and she was out. She wasn't moving, and I didn't know what part of her body had been run over by the truck, and I stopped good enough, but I didn't know how close I was to her, so I just put it in park and just stood there for a second, and then her dad just kept going, and I was like, I didn't really analyze how it happened. I just seen her jump out, but I didn't know why the dude just kept going. He just kept going. He went for like another block, and then he pulled over.
What did you think when you seen her jump out, like, and you seen her on the floor? Like, did you think she was just her, or do you think like, damn, she maybe died here?
I didn't know. So I got out of the truck after like a second of thinking like, what should I do? What should I do? Nobody's stopping. I got out of the truck and I went up to her, and she was making a weird noise. She was like, and I was like, oh shit, like what? So she's alive. And
But she was
she
unconscious.
wasn't. Yeah, I think it was one of those things where you get knocked down, and you make a noise or something.
Kind of like if you get winded, like if you get punched in the stomach.
Yeah, but she was not conscious though. I don't think so.
Well, she was like with her eyes closed.
No, her eyes were closed, and she was making that noise, and her arm was pretty scratched up, because so she had a waitress. Those, you know, those.
She had a waitress outfit.
Yeah, the waitress. You know how they have like this, like not a maid, but like this.
That little
this
like
apron.
fabric. Yeah,
They have this like apron thing where they put their money and they put the straws and whatever.
Yeah.
She had one of those on. And it was a summertime, so she just had just a normal shirt. And she was probably like 33. And I was thinking like, what? I didn't understand why she would do that, because I seen her jump. I later on, the police asked me if the guy had pushed her. And I was like, no, from what I seen, it looked like she jumped. But but going back to my original,
yeah, because you said you went out the car and you went straight up to her.
Yeah, I went up to her and she was making that noise, and I was just trying to analyze to see how, like, if her leg was all fucked up. Like, 'cause I didn't know what had gotten run over by the truck, so I was trying to see if her arm or leg was broken, and I didn't see. I thought she was all right, but she was just unconscious, and then I started seeing blood come out from the side of her head. We just couldn't see it because of her hair. It was like soaking up, I think, the blood, and then after it couldn't soak anymore, it started like making a little puddle, and then I was like, okay, well, I gotta call. Kept looking around, nobody's stopping. Like, nobody's getting out of their cars, at least for the ones that are parked, and the people on the other lane are just slowing down.
So everybody's just watching?
Yeah, they're just slowing down, but they're still going. And I was like, I gotta call 911. Right, gotta call an ambulance. So I got on my phone, and I always thought like I would be, like, when it came to like high, what would the word be?
Like a situation like that?
Yeah, like a situation where it's like shit's happening, and you just gotta react. That shit's never happened to me. I never been tested like that, right? I never came across someone that was unconscious like that, and then it's like it's all on me. Like, what are you gonna do? This shit never happened to me before. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I gotta call 911, right? I was looking around, nobody's stopping. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to call 911. So I pulled my phone out. I went to my contacts, and I'm looking through my contacts trying to find 911 for whatever reason.
You're panicking?
Yeah, because I was like, okay, I got to do this. Because once I started seeing that much blood coming out of her head, I was like, oh, I need to call 911 now. So I went to my contacts, and I was scrolling. And I was like, where the fuck's 911 at? Where the fuck's 911? And then I went from my contacts back to my recent calls, scrolling through my recents. How the fuck do I do this? And I did that for like 20 seconds. Back to contacts, back to recent calls and stuff, missed calls. And I was like, what the fuck? And then finally I'm like, okay, dumbass, fucking 911, right? Because my kid kept saying it in my head, 911, 911. And then I finally called 911, and then they ask you a shit ton of questions. And then luckily by the time the lady answered, and I told them what road I was in, and I told her that she was breathing, but she was bleeding, and she was telling me check for pulse or whatever. Luckily by that time there was a lady that was a nurse, and she had stopped and got out. She was going home with her husband, I think. She stopped, and then she came out, and then she was doing the
Checking her pulse?
checking her pulse, and then the girl started coming too. She couldn't stand up, but she was trying to talk, saying like, help me up, and she was trying to get up, and then the lady was telling her, no, you got to stay down, stay put. So I was like, damn, I got lucky, because shit gets crazy. The lady was telling me how to check pulse, but so I know you could check it in your wrist and you could check it on your neck, but I had no idea if I would be able to do it right. Like, how the fuck
She was telling you to do it?
Yeah, she was telling me check her pulse, right? And then the lady was like, after I told her, she did it, and she would tell me like, oh, her pulse is like some in a minute or whatever, so she's good. And she was unfazed though, by the blood, by everything. It just seemed like she
didn't even know what happened, huh?
She didn't even ask. She was just there. And then finally the police come, right? They shut the road down. They park, and then I can't go anywhere. The ambulance shows up, I can't go anywhere because now I'm blocked in both sides. So I'm just there. And so it's just me, it's my brown ass, right? And two, and then just three older white girls. One's a nurse and the other were just bystanders. But it just seemed, if you drive by, because I'm sitting in the sidewalk, because now after the paramedics come and they start handling everything, then I walk to the sidewalk, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I was just like, it just seems weird. You see a little brown boy and then three older ladies, and just sitting on the side.
They
of
were
the
all
thing.
strangers too?
Yeah, nobody knew anyone, but the lady was
They weren't talking to you or nothing?
No, not until after the paramedics had come and they started handling. The nurse lady talked to them about what she, like, whatever she found out or whatever, her status or whatever. After the guy started putting her on a stretcher and talking amongst themselves, and all of us walked towards the sidewalk, and then the lady's like, the cop was like, she's like, just stay put until we get everything. We get the lady up in the thing, and then we'll come talk to you guys, and then everybody be on their way. The girls, everybody was high fiving each other. The people, so the nurse lady and the other two
strangers
that stopped. Everyone started high fiving each other. They high fived me, and they were like, "Oh, good job." And then I was like, I was telling her like, "Hey, I was kind of panicking at first because I didn't know what to do, because I'm over here thinking she's gonna die, or she is dying, and then I'm looking around to see if anybody's gonna help, and it's just me, and I'm trying to figure out how to call 911, and I couldn't do it. She's like, "Oh, you did all right, baby. Don't worry, you did all right." But that taught me, like, man, shit comes out of the blue. And a lot of times you think you're ready, but you're not really ready. Because I never thought I'd be the type of nigga to panic. But for whatever reason, I'm over here thinking she's going to die. And it's up to me to decide if I don't call the police or the ambulance or whatever, she's not going to get saved. And
well, when you called, because you said you called 911, and what did they tell you? Like,
she was just like, what's your emergency? And I was like, lady jumped out of her car and she's bleeding out her head pretty good. And we're just sitting on the middle of the road. And she's like, okay, is she breathing? I told him, yeah. She's like, who am I speaking to? I told her my name, my number. And then she's like, okay, what road? Shattuck. And then she's like, what's the adjacent road to it? Like the closest, the crossroad to you. And it was Mackinac. and she's like, okay, keep checking on her, make sure she's breathing. And then she started saying something about her pulse or something. And then that's when the lady by that time, the lady was there. But that shit was hella lucky that, for me, that at least that the lady came. Because I have no idea what the fuck I would have done.
You would have probably just waited for the ambulance to come.
Yeah, because I'd been like, I have no idea.
And then to go touch somebody, huh?
Yeah, that's
a stranger,
thing.
and you're just gonna go touch them.
Because I did, when I first originally got to her, I grabbed her shoulder and I was like, "Miss, are you all right?" And then she started doing that, the weird noises, and then I'm like, "Oh, she dead." And then that's when I started panicking. But I guess the panic just came from me thinking that
it was just like
it's up to me, and if I fuck up, she's gonna die, type shit. But when it's not really, I guess it's never really. I guess I was overestimating the severity of her condition, just because I'm not accustomed to seeing people unconscious bleeding out their head. I've never seen that in my whole life. I've only seen one dead person, and it was at a funeral, right? And with the open casket, and up to that moment, that was when younger in my life, but it doesn't seem real when they're dead, but they're right there and they look nothing like they used to. And it seems like your body feels that it's not. You shouldn't be watching this. It just, you can feel it.
So you get a bad feeling.
You get a really bad feeling in your stomach that this is not right or cool. So I guess that's. I just didn't think I would panic like that if shit did hit the fan like that. But now I know that you ain't ready to until shit happens, and then you really analyze. How ready you really are.
Yeah, because I don't think I've been in a situation like that. Well, I remember when Alex had a seizure in my room when we moved into this house very early on. You remember that? And we were waiting. Me and him were watching a movie. And at the time, we only had a TV in the room.
And we were sitting on the floor.
And it was just me and him. We were laying on the floor. And we were watching the movie, and he was acting weird. And I don't remember how old I was. Maybe I was like 16? No, maybe less than that.
We moved into this house in 2011. And no, it had to be earlier.
I think it was like 2007.
In 2007 was the 19th Street. We lived there for 2 years, so 2010 or 9, something like that. Because we were there for 2 years, then we moved over here.
Oh.
So 2009, 2000. So
I was 15 years old.
Yeah. 14, something like that.
Well, we were laying down and we were just watching the movie, and I was noticing that he was acting weird. But like back then, I didn't really know how to judge him well when it comes to like if he's acting weird. But like now, if I would have seen that, I would have known something's up. But back then, I just thought like, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't know what I was thinking. But I was just watching him, and all of a sudden he started having a seizure. And I was talking to him, and he wasn't responding to me. So that's when I ran out the room, and I called you, huh? And I told you, come in here.
Yeah, because we were home alone. It was just me, you, and Alex, and my mom and dad were at work.
And I called you, and then you told me to call the cops, huh?
Well, I called my mom first. And so the only training I've had with seizures up to that point, it was just, I remember my mom telling me, like, put him on his side so that the saliva comes out, but that was wrong. You're supposed to like keep his head down. You're supposed to keep him so that he don't choke on his saliva. And because I laid him down, you're supposed to keep him sitting up, I guess. My mom told me.
You're supposed to put him on his side.
Well, whatever it was, I did the opposite.
He was on his back. And that's why they say you're supposed to put him on the side so he don't
choke on his saliva
or anything like that. So I went outside and I called the police, and I told them I need an ambulance. My brother's having a seizure. and they were right away, where you at, where you live, whatever. And I told them. They came super fast. They're like, we have an officer in the way. She's like, don't hang up. He's gonna be there soon. And I was like, okay. And like a minute or two, he showed up. And he got there and he looked at me. He said, where? And I said, in my room inside the house. And he just ran in there. And when we got into the living room, I just pointed to the direction where my room was. And he was sprinting. He sprinted straight in there. And when he came in, he seen him on his back. And he immediately grabbed him and put him on his side. And I remember like all the saliva was coming out. And then he was just saying, what's his name? And we told him Alex. And then he was just patting him on the back. And then he said, did he say where our parents are?
I don't remember.
I think he did say where your parents are. And I was like, we just called them. They're on their way. I'm surprised he didn't question us, huh? As far as like.
Well, do you remember Alex's face was all blue? His shit was all blue because he had stopped breathing for a little bit. And I remember before I called my mom, right? And I told her, she's the one that told us call the ambulance because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I remember after I called her, she said, call the ambulance and then I'll be there as fast as I can. And we were just trying to do whatever we can until the police officer came. And I think that the only reason why Alex is probably living is because that dude saved him, because he was choking because we didn't know what the fuck to do. And he came, and after he had him up and he started breathing again after he started patting him on the back and he put him how you're supposed to. And all that shit had come out. He started breathing again, and he was able to keep him like that until the ambulance came. And then by then my mom had come too. And I think he took him to the hospital. But I would like to know who that officer was. And I wonder if there's record for it.
Well, it has to be a police report, right? So I'm pretty sure you can find him if you really wanted to. There's a way to do it. But I remember when I called the police, I was like, this is serious. I was thinking to myself, this is serious. But like I was reacting normal though. I wasn't panicking or anything. I was just reacting normal. But in the back of my mind, I was like, this is serious. He's having a seizure. But he's had seizures before. So I never thought like, oh, something, he's gonna die or anything like that. I just thought like, oh, he's having a seizure. We gotta get him to the hospital and he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think the only reason why he was good is because that cop showed up so fast. Because I remember when the cop had him, Alex's face originally was blue as hell because he wasn't breathing.
And then I remember when I seen that cop act the way he did, sprinting, it made me look at police a little bit differently. Because I never had called the police. Every interaction I've had before with the police has been in Stockton, and it hasn't really been like, well, it's always just been like police because we're doing dumb shit. So when you see a cop like that put his maximum effort in, he came super quick. They were here like in 2 minutes max. So he probably was just driving around the neighborhood. When I seen that, it just like, it showed me like, damn, like some people care. Like the way he was running in.
I know. That's why it'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to find out who he was. Just to thank him, see if he remembers anything that we don't remember, and then just to thank him, because it's probably the only reason why Alex is still alive. Because how much longer did it take for the ambulance to come? It took a few more minutes. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I remember she was scary, and then I remember feeling hella bad because it seemed like because of your ignorance and me not asking the proper shit to do and all that shit. And we could have been, if the cop wasn't there, it would have been on us. Like, because we were supposed to be watching them, and we didn't know what the fuck to do.
Well, we were watching them, but it's just when you don't have experience when somebody's having a seizure, and we were just doing what we thought the best thing to do. I just kept talking to him because I remember they said just keep talking to him. Kept talking to him. But then my mom came. How long? My mom
That was
came.
like 10 minutes. She was smashing. She was doing 100. She said because she I don't remember. They were working at a potato thing, a potato farm or some shit. And when I called her and told her, she left immediately. She didn't give a fuck. She just left. And then my dad said,
My dad didn't come.
He came, but my mom was driving.
Oh,
My mom was driving, and she said she was doing 100 trying to get home because she said that she knows how serious shit is when it comes to seizures for Alex. And I remember her telling me she was thinking like all because I want to work. Like I should just stay home, take care of Alex. There's fuck the money type shit. But,
yeah, because now I feel like I'm more prepared if something like that was to happen. Especially with everything mom's taught us. Well, just call the ambulance. Put him on his side. And you could check because if he's unresponsive, because sometimes he has seizures, but he's still responsive. Huh? And when he has seizures, he's not shaking. He's just like almost like if he's cold, huh? Kind of shivering.
And his eyes roll back to the back of his head type shit. And he just won't move. And you talk to him, he won't respond, he won't move. And yeah, I don't. They gave him all medication that we were supposed to give him if he's having a seizure here, but I don't think we've had to use it. He hasn't had a seizure in a long time. But I don't know. I don't know if it's something. I don't think it's something you can just outgrow or nothing like that. But I'm not sure what triggers it. I have no idea what triggers it. I'm not sure if he's got to be sick before, because I know if he gets sick, he has a higher risk of having a seizure. But I don't know what actually triggers it for it to happen.
I think fever. I think a mom says when he gets fever, like it's like where you gotta watch him the most because he can. That's when he can have a seizure. That's what I think that.
Yeah, I remember Chelly and Nora telling us like, "Oh, why would you do that? Like, put him on his side and stuff, or how we did it. Whatever we decided to do, was not the right thing to do." And I remember them telling me, "You're supposed to do this, not that." And I was like, "Well, I didn't know." But I'm hella happy that shit turned out the way it turned out. That's why I'm like that. I would thank that dude if I ever came across him again. If I ever found out who he was, I want to talk to him just to see if he remembers.
Yeah, well, it just it shows you the difference in police because, like when we moved into this neighborhood, I would pass the cops with my skateboard on the road, and they would just wave to me. And in Stockton, you can't. It's almost like you can't even jaywalk. Seems like they'll get you over there, but it's probably too. I think because the higher crime over there. Do you think like police have to adjust to their territory? Like because they're in Stockton and it's there's more crime there, they're more likely to not be nice because most people they coming into encountered with is like not a good person or a bad person, so they're constantly in the mode of assume everybody's a bad person until they're good.
I think any time that you deal with people, especially if you're not good, you're not a patient person, you tend to turn into more not rude, but like real. When it came to like you're gonna do it this way, my way type shit, because they dealt with so many motherfuckers throughout their whole career, and the same goes with people who deal with the public in sales or in restaurants or whatever. You dealing with motherfuckers every day. You tend to form that attitude, and it's probably why those guys at St. Mary's are the same way that they are. because it's like they deal with this shit every day. But more than likely, that's probably why the police are the way that they are. But a lot of times, I do be seeing when I'm driving the police officers when we like cross paths on the road or whatever. They'll do that. They'll wave at me, and it is, I don't know. This is the only place that I've ever been waved at by a cop is here.
Yeah, I think because it's a good neighborhood. That's why it changed my view on police. Because they're just nice. I mean, we did get stopped one time, me and my dad, and the dude was he was asking for my ID too, and I was passenger. And in my head, I was like, why do I have to show ID if I'm the passenger? I'm not driving. And he had an attitude with us. And I was like, whatever, just give it to him. Like, I felt like I shouldn't have to. I'm pretty sure I don't have to because I'm not driving the motor vehicle, but just to make things simpler, I was like, here. And he gave my dad a ticket. And
For speeding?
I think he gave him a ticket. Maybe he let him go. I'm not sure. But then that's the one experience I had here that was negative. But every other cop I've come encountered with is fine. It's nice. I had no problem with. That's how it should be, though.
Yeah, every time it's hard to let go of that uncomfortable feeling you get when you see a police officer, especially when you're driving. Like you see them, and I don't lose sight of them. Once I see him, my eyes are on him until he's gone, and then it's back to normal. But it's just like, it's because maybe I'm like some subconsciously or whatever. I know that dude has the power to fuck my life up if he so chooses, right? If he pulls me over. And I'm not saying cops are like this, but just that there has been times in the past where police officers have sent people to prison for years for something that they didn't commit, right? There's happened before. So I'm not saying all police officers are like this. I think the majority of police officers are good people. But just me saying, what if this guy is one of them? If he decides to, right? If he decides to, he can.
You're just worried on that small chance.
Yeah, on the chance that I'm going to get one of those guys. I'm sure it's very, very, very small chance that I'll get one of those guys. But just that thought of it's possible keeps me on edge whenever I see a cop on the road. It's never like, you would think you would get the feeling of
like I'm
safety.
Safe.
Yeah. There's nothing going to happen because there's a cop right there.
Instead, it's like, I think the majority of people, they just get nervous because nobody wants to get a ticket. I think that's the main reason. Nobody wants to get a ticket. So every time I see a cop, I keep my eye on him. And then I try not to make like too much movement. If he's too close, like I when I look in the mirror, I don't move my head. I just like move my eyes. I just move my eyes to the mirror, and then I check in the on the mirror up front. I check that mirror, and then I just make sure I'm driving good. Make sure I'm driving good until he either passes me, or I end up going on an exit and going a separate way from him. Because I've been followed before for a good amount of time. And back then, like I remember I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, I remember being followed before by them and being like nervous of like, damn, they might pull me over. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is with the average person. I think they just don't want to get a ticket.
Well, I'm never thinking about tickets. I'm just thinking about, my head always goes to worst case scenario all the time. And everything. My shit always goes worst case scenario. So I'm like, because the odds of me going to jail, if you're getting pulled over, the odds of going to jail increase, right? Because obviously before you're not getting pulled over, the chances of going to jail are real small, if any chance at all. But you getting pulled over, now there's a chance, right? Because you're in a car, right? And either for whatever reason, let's say tags are expired, because sometimes I forget to put the little sticker. You know how you get your tabs and you renew them, and you got to put that little sticker, and because everybody drives the truck, right? I'm like, sometimes I forget to do that, and then I start thinking of every scenario. What if I forget this? What if we didn't do this? Or if they say, "Oh, you're..."
But you have it on you, or you forget to renew. Period.
No, we renew on time. I just don't put the tag things on there.
Well, I'm pretty sure he would just ask you, like, "Hey, your thing is expired."
Yeah, but if you can't prove it to him, I don't know.
If what it would be, you keep it in the car, don't you?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because they
mail it to you.
They mail it to you, and there's this little square that you put into your little glove box, and there's a little square little sticker that you put on your plate.
In certain places, people be jacking those. Have you heard of that?
No.
People be like jacking the stickers. So what they do is, to prevent that, the people who put that, they get a razor blade and they cut the sticker in like 6 to 8 pieces. That way, if someone tries to peel it, it's more difficult. Like, you can't peel it in one peel. It's going to be multiple, because people be yanking the stickers off. There's no, on the sticker, there's nothing that that identifies that vehicle. So it's like, it's just the sticker that says the month. That's it.
There's
I think there's a number on there.
I think there's a number on there too. But I don't know. Maybe it's just like at first glance, you're gonna look, if the cop don't want to do extra work and type the number in. At first glance, it just says up to date. It looks like it's up to date. So,
but do you know if that number is linked to the vehicle you're driving?
It has to be. I think it had to be.
Oh, I'm not sure. But some people be doing that.
Yeah, there's people who I've seen a video of guys who, because so in a lot of cars they have a catalytic converter, which is like a metal tube, and there's like a little fat piece to it. If you look at it, it's like a metal tube, and in the middle there's a converter that is fat. It's a lot fatter, and that's used in cars for emissions. So that any fuel or anything that doesn't get burnt fully, it'll get burned up inside there, and then it's for emission shit. But it's got precious metals inside it that are worth money, and so people tend to cut them with a sawzall. Just cut the motherfuckers and then go sell them like $300.
Who do they sell them to?
Usually recyclable places,
like junkyards.
Yeah, like so. I know this kid that he got into an accident, and instead of, you know how all the time we've ever gotten into an accident and we totaled our shit, and we always just sell it to the junkyard
for like 300.
For 300. Well, if you part it out, she'll double the converter itself, like $300. So,
well, everything that's not damaged.
Yeah, anything that still works, still functional, window switches, even doors, any mirrors.
If you part it out to that same junkyard?
No, you got to part it out and sell it on eBay now or on the internet now. But it's hella worth it. There's hella people who do it now.
Because they normally only give you like $200 to $300 now, or at least from when our experience.
Yeah. So if anyone has a totaled car, you make more money parting it out online, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, all that shit. You'd make more money doing that. It's just a little bit more work than
and
just
assuming that they know how to do that, how to take those pieces apart.
Well, some people say, come take it off yourself. They'll list it. They'll list the car, what year it is, the mileage, and then they'll sell. If the motor's fine, if the transmission's fine, they'll say pull out yourself. Or if they pull it out, they probably charge more for it. But usually people say you got to come and pull out your own part type shit. And we'll discuss a price when you come. But you make more money than selling it to the junkyard. But I seen a video of these guys that would come, and they would carry a floor jack, and then they would just throw it underneath the car and jack the motherfucker up real quick. They have an electric sawzall, and just
They just cut that piece
cut
off.
that piece off. And then like trucks have 2 of them on each, for each bank they have. So they'll cut both those bitches off. The car will still run. It would just be loud than a bitch, and it'll be stinky. But
But it can run fine without that.
nah, it won't. It'll just be. It'll run. It will run. It will run. It might vibrate a little bit more.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos online of people going underneath the cars and taking shit, but I never knew what they're taking. Is that what they're
Yeah,
taking?
they're taking the converter because it's like $300 per. So if you got 2 of them in the trucks, cut those bitches.
Are they heavy?
Nah, they're maybe
10 pounds?
nah, more than that probably, depending on how long it is. I guess I never felt one because every time I put them in, they're usually it's a full piece, so it's like probably the size of the length of this table.
So it's like a muffler?
No, it's like a pipe, an exhaust pipe.
Oh, okay.
And pieces of it, and depending on what type of car it is, some are smaller than others. But if you can get $300 per, that's why they're doing it. And it used to be, it did have a time where it dipped, where the prices for that, they were not, it was really not worth it. So the people who did that, I think,
is that normal? Like to people to cut that piece off? Like, or would it be suspicious when you go to the junkyard and then they see that it's been cut in that way?
You would think so, but a lot of times people who total their cars,
you probably
they
just
cut it. They cut it and sell it to them.
But if somebody's constantly coming with the same part,
you would think so. But these guys are making money too. The guys are paying 3. They're probably making 6 or 8.
So they don't question.
So they're like,
you bring them, huh? Keep bringing them.
Yeah, the dude's gonna keep bringing them if he's gonna keep paying for them. That's why I think it's so popular. People do that shit. And I remember the dude I seen the video of the guy. This dude had like a Ford F-150 or something like that parked in his driveway, and he was on the 2nd floor and he was recording these dudes. He had just caught them, had just stopped. They had just stopped and they had got out. He seen them. They had a jack in his hand and everything, and he seen them going under there. And he's like, "Look at these motherfuckers. We're gonna get them today." And he had a paintball gun. He went outside. Boom, 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 boom. Started hitting these motherfuckers. They took off running. When one of them took off running, the other guy hit underneath the truck, like stayed underneath there.
They probably thought they were getting shot at or something.
I don't know. He hit the one that stayed there. I think the one that left probably thought they were getting shot at. The one that stayed there, the dude went up to underneath the truck and just lit him up. Boom, 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 boom. And the dude was just, ow, ow. And then he got up and started running. The guy in the car took off. But the guy, so the 2 guys underneath the truck, one of them stayed, the other one took off running the opposite way of where the car was, his getaway car. So the getaway car just took off. One of the guys went running the opposite direction, and the other guy stayed underneath the truck. He was a bigger dude. He stayed underneath the truck for a little bit until he seen the guy wasn't stopping, and he got up and took off running. And he's like, "Next time it's gonna be a real gun." That shit was funny though.
I remember I remember when, well, going into Ghosts. I remember I told you that I seen that shit coming down the hall. Well, not coming down the hall, crossing the hall.
You're talking about, oh yeah.
Remember when I told you that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is probably the most craziest ghost story that's ever happened. Ghost thing that's ever happened to me. And this is like probably the thing that like hit me the most, because I remember when I was younger, I would see shadows and shit. But then now, like being older, I look back and I'm like, it could have been anything. It could have just been my mind. But this was different. I was watching paranormal stuff though. So maybe that could have played a role into that in my room. And it was late, probably like 11 p.m. And then I went into the bathroom to brush my teeth. And I was brushing my teeth, and then I stepped out of the bathroom into the hallway, because outside of our bathroom there's a long hallway. And I looked down the hallway as I was brushing my teeth, and I seen a girl pass passed from the doorway into the kitchen. And I thought it was my mom. First instinct, I didn't really think, like, it didn't scare me or nothing, because I was like, oh, it's just my mom. Because it looked like a girl. And I can't really describe what she had. I just remember seeing hair. And it looked like a girl. So I walked up into the kitchen slowly because I was like, this is my mom. And I just wanted to make sure. And when I walked into the kitchen and I turned and there was nobody there, that's when I got scared. Like, it's like, I was like, what the hell was that? I remember like that feeling of like, oh shit.
Where is it? You talking about like when you feel it in your arms? Was it goosebump type?
Yeah,
shit?
kind of like goosebumps, because I was like, I was so sure that it was my mom. So when I was turning that corner, I was expecting to see my mom, and I checked, and there was nobody there. And I remember I was like, then you get that paranoid. I got paranoid, and I started walking back towards the bathroom, and then I was watching my back and walking kind of like quick, and then I want to go tell you that I seen that. And I remember that was probably the most craziest thing, because even afterwards, I was paranoid for the rest of the day. Well, for the rest of the night. Because even in the nighttime, when I would get up to go to the bathroom, I constantly just being reminded of like, what if I see that girl again? And I never seen anything like that. And I'm like, of course, I thought like maybe because I'm watching paranormal videos. Maybe because I'm watching that, maybe my brain was already in a certain, like, I don't know, mode that maybe led to me seeing that. But damn, that looks so real to me. That was something like, that, I'm not saying it was a ghost. I'm just saying that it was enough to trick me. It was whatever that was.
I think it's a lot different now when you were old and you see shit than when you're young, huh? Because I haven't seen anything where I was convinced something was there, but I would go check. Whereas a little kid, I wouldn't check.
Yeah, that's how I am as well now. Now I almost want it like foolproof. That's why I walk towards it, even though but initially I thought it was my mom. But normally when I hear noises, because I've heard noises before in this house, but I've never thought of like it might be a ghost, because when we moved in here, they said that somebody died here.
An old man or something in the basement.
Here, the story is he died here in this room that we're in, right here. Because remember when we came in here, there was a bar, and they said he drunk himself to death here. But we've heard plenty of stories, so I'm not sure if that's what really happened. But they also said that the chimney burnt, right? And I know they can't see it, but the chimney right here is burnt. Like if you look at our chimney right here, it's burnt. Like as you can see, it's been burnt. So I never really thought, because to me, I've never, like, we lived here how long?
11, 12 years.
And I've never had any paranormal thing to make me think there was a ghost. I've heard noises. Sometimes when I'm in my bed, I hear, remember how we used to have a pool table down here? And the pool table used to be like the room over there, underneath my room upstairs. And I would hear sometimes the balls moving, or like movement down here. Just movement down here. And I just never think of it, because I'm like, I don't know what that was. Like, whatever. I'm going to sleep. And I can't say it's a ghost or anything like that. Maybe I'm hearing shit because houses creak and shit. This house creaks all the time. So I don't assume it was a ghost. But when I saw that, whatever I saw in that hallway, that was the most convincing thing. Especially because I'm not really somebody nowadays that I'm like, yeah, I believe in ghosts fully. I'm not really like, I want proof now. I'm not, if something happens to me, I'm gonna walk towards it. And if something appears, I'm gonna get scared and then run. But I want the confirmation. But I remember you told me, like, would I ever go into this, like, haunted houses and stuff, like the most haunted ones? And I was like, no. And you were like, but why? You said you kind of like don't believe in it. And I'm, why risk it? So I said, why risk it? Because it just seems like I don't want to be in that vibe, or like maybe there is ghosts and I'm allowing them in by me chasing them.
Yeah. There's no.
So why risk it?
Yeah, there's no upside to going and trying to fuck around with shit that we have no understanding of, if it does exist. But the one thing that helps me calm down whenever I think about ghost shit, I would be like, if shit would, we've been here for so long, right? We've been here in this house for so long, and shit, nothing's ever happened. That's far to me, right? And I'm like, if something, because I always be like, what if something grabs my leg in the middle of the night type shit? And I'm like, well, if something would have happened, why tonight?
Why would it have been so long?
Yeah, why would it wait 11 years for it to start grabbing my leg? If shit was ghost shit here, it would have happened a long time ago. So that's why I always tell myself, shit, if something would have happened, it would have been happened. It wouldn't take 11 years and then this specific night that I'm thinking about ghosts and shit.
Yeah,
happened.
like I used to when I used to think the same thing. Somebody might grab my leg, so I used to make sure that the blanket was underneath my legs. For some reason, that layer of protection made me feel good. But now I just don't care because it's comfortable having your leg out and to hit the air or whatever. So now I don't care. But it's crazy to think, because I never thought about it, that this is the rooms that they say supposedly, because we don't know if this is sure. Did we find out if somebody died here for sure? Because when we bought the house, I
think it was never written on paper when we bought the house. It was just something that the realtor lady, she told our parents when they were looking at this house, and she just
somebody died in the basement.
Someone died in the basement. That's what she just told them. Because my mom asked her something that she always asked, if anyone's ever died in this house, and just because she doesn't like it. But because of she just liked the house, the way it looked and the size of the property, she's like, oh, fuck it.
And it's crazy because I don't really think about that. Because I be in this basement by myself sometimes. A lot of times, and I never think about that. It's just like, whatever, it's just... But now that I mention it, it's just crazy to think that this is the room, this exact room we're in right now.
Yeah, well, remember when our grandparents came to visit us?
Yeah.
And I slept down here? I slept right here, right?
Oh, yeah, you did. The bed
there.
Yeah, before, huh? You put the bed right here?
Yeah, and I the first night I was down here, because it's cold. It's cold down here compared to upstairs. It's cold down here. And I'm not accustomed to sleeping in a cold-ass freaking room. But the first night, I was scared in a bitch. Because I was thinking, like, being in this big-ass room, right? You're in a big-ass room, and the freaking washer and dryer will kick on randomly, like they do for whatever reason. It's like a setting that they have or some shit. And everything down here you hear. Anything that happens upstairs, yeah, it's dead quiet down here. And upstairs, any little creak of any kind, you hear it. And I don't know. And because me, I can't. The first night I was thinking about trying to sleep in the dark, and you can't. There's too many noises. You hear everything. So I'm like, fuck that. I'm not gonna be able to sleep. So I left my monitor on, put a timer on, and then went to sleep. And it was weird. What's weird down here though, I never had this before. Every time I went to sleep, I woke up exactly this. Every night I went to sleep down here, I woke up the exact same way I went to sleep.
So was this after I told you the technique of like put the pillows underneath?
No.
Oh.
This is before that. And so I would go to sleep the same way on my side, and then I would wake up exactly like that. It's like I close my eyes for a second, and I'll wake up, and I'll be like that again. And I slept pretty good. I'm not sure if it's the temperature. It might be the temperature.
Yeah, maybe the...
But I didn't move, and it was cold. I was cold where I had to sleep with a hoodie on, and then I would throw my big ass blanket, and I wrap myself like a burrito type shit, and then I'll go to sleep. Wake up the exact same way I went to sleep.
Yeah, because I remember my dad, when he slept here, he said it was cold. You think when it's colder, it helps your muscles relax?
They say that the perfect
temperature is like what, 68?
68, I think, to go to sleep in.
And upstairs is always like 74, 75.
Yeah.
And people always say that's hella hot. But that's how we have it because of our little brother. Because that's his temperature. That's the word. I don't know. That's always been his temperature. So I guess we got accustomed to it. So now when we come down here, I don't know the temperature down here, but it's colder. That's why we always got hoodies on.
I think it's like it's probably 10 degrees because you feel it. I think 10 degrees is a fair assumption to say because as soon as you come down here, you feel how much colder it is.
I've had like a couple of ghosts. Well, not really ghosts, but like weird shit happened to me in this house though. And it's not like back to back. It's just like random. Because I remember too, one day when I was sleeping, I always sleep on the edge of the bed. I remember I told you, like, how do you sleep? And you just sleep everywhere. Like, no, I'm always in the same spot. And it's close to the edge of the bed because right here we have what do you call that?
Nightstand?
Yeah, like whatever it's called. I have that. And right there I have like everything. So if I have water, I'll leave it there in the nighttime. And I always stay on this side. And I have a queen size bed. And I always stay to the right side of the bed all the time. I don't go to the left side. Sometimes randomly I will end up on that side, but the majority of the nights I'm on this side. And I was sleeping and all of a sudden I heard like I felt like, I don't know what it is. You know how like sometimes you can almost feel something?
Something close to your face? Yeah.
It felt like that. And I thought it was you because it like came something, I don't know, maybe I was dreaming. Who knows? It's a possibility. But something came like to fucking this close to me. Like this and said, Meme. Like that. And I thought it was you. I thought it was you waking me up for something. So I got up and I like looked and there was nobody there. And I was like, what?
And your door's closed?
Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? And it spooked me. And then it pissed me off sometimes because I'm like, why? What the fuck do it? I remember one time waking up and my fan, now I have a different fan. I told you like a bunch of shit has happened to me, but I've never really said this is a ghost. And I went to sleep. And this was another time separate from when whatever that was that said my name. Maybe I was dreaming. But the fan kicked on by itself. And I was sleeping. And I'm like, what the heck? So I just got up, turned it off. Went back to sleep. And the shit kicked on again. Probably like, I don't know, maybe an hour later. It kicked on by itself again. And I turned it off. I'm not saying this is ghost related. Maybe it's a problem with the electrical or something. I don't know, but I doubt it. And then I went back to sleep and it happened again. And I just got up and I smacked that shit hella hard. And you know how like, I don't know what they're called. Like it's a piece of wood that holds the nails in there. You know how like the fan, the thing that makes to give you the air, that piece of wood. You know how there's like 4 or 5 of them. What are they called?
The
Pillars or what?
The fins? Or
I'm not sure what they're called.
Fuck. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about every ceiling fan has like 3 little or 5 little freaking
things that
that actually produce the air, the little fins or
yeah, well,
plates
that
or
thing,
whatever.
I got up and I smacked that shit and I broke it. And when it broke, it bent back and it stuck it in place. So I'm like, this shit ain't moving no more. And then I laid back down. And before I went to sleep in my room, I said, do it again. I remember saying, why wait till I go to sleep? Do it right now. And I was in pitch darkness. And I was like, that's what I thought, bitch.
What time was it?
I was like, that's what I thought, bitch. Because I was like, maybe I wasn't prepared for something to happen to me. Like, I'm pretty sure if something would have happened, I probably would have got scared. But I was just mad because I'm like, why are you fucking with me when I'm trying to sleep? And I don't know, maybe it was just like a coincidence. But I remember like, I'm gonna punk this, whatever the fuck this is. I'm gonna punk this motherfucker because he ain't gonna be fucking with me, whatever it is. Yeah, I remember saying that. Do it again. I was sitting down on my bed before I lay down again. And I said, do something now while I'm awake. That's what I thought, bitch. I went back to sleep and nothing happened. Nothing happened, but there's been a couple of times where things have happened. I've been here in this house and have heard Alex on the other side of the house, and he's at school. And I'm just like, eh? You know how he does that? But I'm like, I always ignore it. Like, whatever. Like, I don't, maybe I'm hearing shit. Well, I don't know. I can't explain that. So I just ignore it because I can't explain it. Like, when I seen that shit in the hallway, I seen that shit. That's why I told you, like, if I would have just heard something, I would have just, whatever. But I don't know what the fuck that was, but something walked by. And my mom always tells me that shit happens to her all the time, that she sees shit. But to me, I'm like, how come I don't really see shit like that? And that was like the first time that I actually saw something, and it wasn't in pitch darkness. Because you know how when you're in pitch darkness, sometimes you can think that there's a certain shadow or something. Nah, I seen this, and the lights were on. And something walked by. And I can't explain it to you because I remember you're like, what was she wearing? And I'm like, I don't know. I just seen hair. And something walked by here with long hair. And walked by, and that was that.
It seems that girl ghosts are way scarier than boy ghosts.
I know how. Why is that?
I don't know.
Is that sexist?
It probably is, but
Maybe because of the movies we've seen, and
long
bitch
hair.
always got the long hair and like that.
It's because you see a dude ghost, and I don't know. I guess every
What's the
girl-
most scariest ghost? I would say a child. You think so?
Yeah, a girl.
A girl child.
Yeah, because it's hella creepy. Little girls.
Just seeing shit in your room. I think it's different because I feel like a lot of the ghost stories happen in darkness or when they're sleeping. Why is that? You think it may just be related to sleep? Like you're still in a sleep state, so you wake up and see shit or hear shit, and then you believe that? Because I can't explain that. When I heard that come so close to my ear, and I felt it, but I wasn't afraid because I thought it was you trying to wake me up. But it came hella close. And it's just something that said, meme.
I don't know. I have no idea. That shit never happened to me. Anything where I see stuff, not since I was little.
Nothing's ever happened to you in this house?
The only thing that's ever happened to me in this house where I don't know if it's ghost shit or what, but it felt hella scary was when I woke up, that sleep paralysis shit, where I woke up. So I know I wasn't dreaming because I remember dreaming about some ghost shit and running away from something, and then it caught me. In my dream, it caught me, and I woke up, and I couldn't move, and only my eyes moved, and I couldn't move, and just you feel fear, hella fear in your whole body, because I have no idea what's keeping
Why you couldn't move?
What's keeping me from moving, and this has happened to me 3 times in my life, but the first time it happened to me, I was terrified, and I knew I couldn't explain it, and it lasted for like 2 minutes. I was just freaking frozen solid. And I could remember making like but I couldn't really make a loud noise.
Talk?
I couldn't talk. I couldn't move my lips. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't move anything except for my eyes.
Well, they say that's when you wake up, but your body's still asleep.
Yeah, I didn't realize this. I thought it, and everyone always said "se te subió el muerto" type shit, which is like a dead guy got on you, which is kind of gay.
That's a saying for like Mexicans, huh?
Yeah, and this motherfucker, so I don't know. And then me dreaming of ghost shit, and I'm not sure if that has anything to do with what happened. And I remember our older sister peeking her head into the room to see if I was still asleep. It was a weekend, I'm guessing. And she opened my door.
This was during the nighttime or during the day?
This was in the morning. This was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I remember, I woke up and there was like a minute of me not being able to move, thinking like, oh, fuck, like my life's over type shit. And I don't know what was happening to me. And I've never heard of this. I've never seen this, nothing. And in my head, I couldn't explain it other than ghost shit because I was dreaming about a ghost and she caught me. And they had caught me, and then this is how I woke up. And my sister, I was like praying that somebody came help me. someone come help me. And my sister came into my room, and she peeked her head inside to see if I was awake. And my ass was like trying to scream, but I couldn't scream. And she just closed the door and left. And I was like, fuck. And then like 30 seconds later, I was able to move again. And I was like, what happened? Was I sleeping? I don't know if I was sleeping or what the hell, dreaming or what, I don't know. And I went to my sister and I told her, did you go into my room? She's like, yeah, I went in there, just peeked my head in, and you were still sleeping. And I was like, I was awake, but I couldn't talk, or I was frozen. And then she's like, what the hell? And I told them everything when that had happened. But I knew when I was sleeping, because I have that. When I was frozen, I see my sister come in, and she left. And like 30 seconds later, I was able to move. So I know I was wide awake.
That confirms it, because she confirmed it, huh?
Yeah, that she came in. So then that happened to me 2 other times.
It only happened to me one time. One time, and it was in the afternoon. So it was still daytime. It wasn't like, I think I was taking a nap or something. And it happened to me, but I think this has happened to you before, and I already knew. When it happened to me, I wasn't scared. I woke up and I felt hella heavy. I couldn't move anything. And I wasn't scared or anything, because maybe I wasn't dreaming of anything. I just woke up and I couldn't move. And I was putting all my strength to lift my left arm, hella hard, and I couldn't lift it up. And I just stayed there until I finally could move, and I just laughed. And I was surprised that I wasn't scared, because every story I've ever heard of sleep paralysis, especially when you look the shit up and the images you see, like of fucking demons on top of you, that shit seems scary. But that's the only time I had it, and it wasn't a scary experience. It was just I couldn't move. And I guess maybe because I already knew what it was. I already knew, like, oh, I'll be able to move soon. So
yeah, and I didn't know anything about it for the first time for me.
But didn't you say that it happened to you another time and you actually seen something?
Well, the second time it happened to me, every time that it has happened to me, it has happened to me with me dreaming about ghost shit. And then me saying shit to it, like in my dreams, like come get me, motherfucker, or some shit like that. Because I remember taunting it in some way or form, and then it would catch me. Every time it would catch me.
Is it the same dream?
No, it'd be different. Like I can't even remember what it looks like or what the dream is about.
Do you believe in people who say, like, I have the same nightmare every night or every other night? I never heard anybody say that, but I've heard that in like movies. Do you think that's true?
I don't. People say that they can also control their dreams and stuff, lucid dreaming and all this shit.
I think I believe in that.
I don't know. I have no idea.
But going back to what you were saying, what were you saying?
The second time that I remember it happened to me, I remember seeing something come out of the closet, like a sock. It looked like a sock, but it was my peripheral, because my ass is just stuck looking at the ceiling.
What do you mean, a sock?
Well, it just looked like something sock form fly out the closet. And just land. It just land. But I didn't know. I don't know. It was just something black that went like this. And then it looked like it just flew. It looked like somebody was in the closet and just threw a sock at me, but missed and just made it halfway to the bed. That's what it looked like. But who knows? I don't know. It was just my peripheral. But that time, the second time, I wasn't as scared, because I knew this is going to fade. And then by the third time, I was still scared the second time, and I was still scared the third time, but it wasn't nowhere near as frightening as the first time. But I remember the third time, I put all my mind into pulling my hand up, and I was able to move it a little tiny bit. And I'm thinking, like, okay, so I know. I was just thinking, like, it'd be tight, because after I was putting all that force or whatever, it seemed like it sped up the time of me having
like
to
you
sit
waking
there.
up, fully waking up.
Yeah, trying to put all my might.
It's a scary thing though, like not being able to move. Because I knew it was gonna go away. I knew it was gonna fade. So that's why I was just like trying to see if I can lift my hand up. But imagine being like that forever.
Yeah, that'd be gay.
What was the time where you told me, like, I think you said you were watching like documentaries of aliens or something, and then something happened to you and you're like, these bitches are onto us. Remember what you say?
because I was thinking about, I was looking into aliens and abductions and stories of people getting interviewed and telling their story about what happened to them. And in certain cases, they have really credible sources, police officers, right? Decorated police officers that have been doing shit for like, they've been doing the job for like 10, 15, 20 years. And they said, when I pulled up to the house, I seen water. It looked like there was a water leak right from the ceiling. And
This is somebody's story.
someone's story, right? But it was written in the cops
Report.
in the report. He said when he came in, it looked like water was leaking from the ceiling, but it was standing still. It was just levitating, the water where it was dripping. And he said that originally when he came in, there was a beam of light that he seen on top of the house, and he ran inside. He didn't know what it was. He thought it was a helicopter at first. And then he said, but I remember he said when he came inside, the water was levitating, and he couldn't explain what the hell was going on. But it was just like me going down the rabbit hole of just a bunch of cases, reading about interviews, and then thinking like, oh fuck, I'm doing all this research. These aliens are gonna be like, this motherfucker's next, because he's like looking into shit.
Yeah, he knows too much. I remember he said that, and that shit sounded funny. But nothing happened to you that made you say that? I think you said something happened to you. And then you said, these bitches are onto us or something.
I don't remember.
The alien thing, there's a lot of people with stories of aliens. There's like documentaries and stuff, but like when you hear even like Bob Lazar, his story of like how he worked in Area 51.
Area S4.
It's a part, like, is Area 51 called as a whole Area 51, or is Area 51 just a piece of those facilities?
I think there's multiple facilities out within a certain district.
So what do they call that place in general? Is there a name?
He said Area S before. He said Area S4 is what he called it, where he used to work, which is, I don't know if it was before it was known as Area 51. I don't remember, but he said he worked there. He was hired to reverse engineer a craft that was obtained from a crash from somewhere. They said according to what I've read into it, it said that some of the aircraft that they've found has been excavated. Where, like,
what does that mean?
Like they found it and like they dug it up, like it was buried, and they and dug it up, and then they're trying to figure out where the hell it originated from. And some of them are from crash landings. But
I remember him saying that the spacecraft that he's seen, it was hecka small. So he said whoever was operating this had to be the size of what, like a kid or something?
4 feet or something like that.
And he said that he explains it in great detail, way better than I can. But people have checked his story, and he has some of the things he has said existed before it was known existed has come to light now. And there's even pictures of, I think I seen it like on the Joe, because I watched the whole Joe Rogan podcast about it. There's even pictures of like the hand thing they had. I'm not sure what it was called.
I don't know what it was called.
They said it would check your fingerprint or some shit.
It would measure your bone density from your arm.
I think that's what they had when I used to work in Northern Concrete. That's like the way you punch it in, is you put your hand on the thing, and it has like pieces of metal, like here, 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 and here. So you just go like this. You put your hand in. Imagine this is the thing. You put your hand in and then you close it. So it makes contact with those pins or whatever it is. And then it just goes deet, and then boom, you pop up. That's probably the tightest way to punch in. We punch in like that every day.
That way nobody can punch you in and out?
Yeah, that way nobody could punch you in. And I'm surprised nobody else has used that method. Because there's still people who use time cards.
We use time cards.
But why? Is it cheaper?
Yeah, they said they were gonna. They're
Maybe they had a serious problem over there about like people punching them in. Because I think I remember them. I think I was there when we used to punch in, and then all of a sudden they introduced us to that. Yeah, I think I was there when they made the change. Because I think I remember them punching in, and when I would go, I would punch in for my friend.
yeah.
I would
That's
punch in
probably
for him if he wasn't there, because he would tell me, "Hey," because he would only be late like 3, 4, 5 minutes max. So he would tell me, because when you would get there in the lobby or in the break room, we would all line up, and all the workers line up. There's 2 break rooms, and you're assigned one. So that's where you go punch in every day. You have a locker there and everything. And after, like, if the whole line went through and he still wasn't there, then I knew, okay, I'll punch him in. And I'll just punch him in, and then he would show up, and then he would come to me, and I would tell him, I already punched you in. If I seen him walking in, I would wave him down. I already punched you in. And he'd be like, all right, cool.
nobody would be able to hear you say that.
Nobody gives a fuck about that. It was all workers.
Oh,
I'll just wave him down, and he already know what I was talking about. And he would come up to me, you punch me in? Yeah, all right, cool.
some people don't. If like certain, like at our job, they don't like people punching other people in.
Yeah. But going back to the Bob Lazar thing, he also mentioned, what was it that he said? That it was some type of object that had a magnetic field around it?
He said that the space had no cables. Like you would think, right, to run anything here, at least with our technology, you need shit to have an outlet. You need power, something to have power, to power everything. And he said the thing that powered the spaceship was this sphere looking thing that whenever you did something to it, I forgot what they did to it in order to activate it, it would produce some type of field that powered everything. And you would control the spaceship with the fucking orb or something. And he said that one of the guys had died.
That's what I was gonna say, but I was like, I don't want to say shit now because I watched it a while ago. It's because these people are way more intelligent than me,
Yeah,
and I forget about shit so quickly.
Yeah, they need to go watch it. If there's a documentary about Bob Lazar,
there is a documentary. I watched it. I do not know what it's called though.
But they can go and watch it. Joe Rogan and the Bob Lazar, and he gets to do it pretty good. He explains to him how the hell he got to.
He drawed it. I think it's this one right here. Oh, it's pretty small, but he drawed how it looked like and everything. I think this is the person. This is the most credible person. Well, maybe not. I just believe in him. Like, I believe in what the fuck he's saying. He said the same shit for years. And some of the shit that he has said has came true about it.
They also try to say that he didn't work in certain places.
Yeah, they also that's why another reason why I believe him, because why would they do that? Why would they just remove him from the list of workers? He said, and they erased his whole everywhere where he went to school.
And
how that, like, everybody was denying that he worked there
in Los Alamos or whatever. Yeah, he's a smart motherfucker though.
People should watch it. It's hella interesting, and he can explain shit way better than me or you.
Yeah, if they have any interest, if any listener has any interest in,
so this is his drawing right here.
In aliens, they should go definitely watch this shit.
Let me zoom in. That's his drawing of what the thing looked like. He also said that he peeked his head underneath and seeing all this. Well, that's how he got the drawing. But I believe him more than anybody else, because not only did they try to hide his shit, and they only found that he wasn't lying because of some type of newspaper, I think, that had all the names on there of who worked there, and he popped up there.
Yes, it was like some type of phone book type shit where you find everyone who works at a specific place or whatever. And his name was on the registry or whatever.
Yeah, that was hella crazy. I believe him more than anybody.
He's probably telling the truth. And then now that the Pentagon is saying that we have recovered craft not from this Earth
Didn't they announce a bunch of shit like just recently?
during COVID.
Yeah, and it felt like everybody was distracted, and people were saying that's why they're doing it, because right now everybody's distracted. But what do you know why they had to release the information? Because I think it was under a certain something that was forcing them to do that.
It was something to do with certain some bill that they passed that said that they had to release any document that had any information on extraterrestrials, whatever the fuck, and they had like 60 days to do it or some shit like that. But I'm not sure how like who enforced that or if that even came to be. I have no idea. But I remember they did announce that that they had recovered craft not from this earth. But I'm not sure for what purpose would they announce that. Like, what's the play? I don't know.
Maybe because they had to for some reason. I think they had to for some reason. I'm not sure. I had to look into it again. But there's even people who fly the spacecrafts who would talk about seeing shit that they couldn't explain. And it was always there. They said every time they made their runs, they would see it and they would watch it. They didn't know what the fuck it was. So there's a lot of crazy stories about aliens. But Bob Lazar's story, I feel like it's the most solid one, because it just makes, why would they try to cover it up? And then people were saying, like, what if this was a plan from the inside to have Bob Lazar say all this crazy shit to make people not believe it? Like, oh, this dude, like, I don't know, to somehow to throw away the public, throw off the public. But he's been saying the same shit, and he talked about how they raided his house multiple times, I think, to make sure he didn't have anything. And he talks about in the documentary, I don't even think you watched the documentary, he talks about shit that has happened to him that he's never talked about before. Because there's stuff that he don't want to talk about.
It's on Netflix?
No, I think I watched it. Have you ever seen the Joe Rogan podcast? And it was him and another guy with a beard.
Jeremy?
I think it was him. He's the one that made the documentary on him. And it shows everything.
It's probably on his website.
He finds that thing that he claimed, that thing, I don't know what it's called, but that picture of that thing you put your hand in, he actually found it and showed it to him. And he's like, oh, this is amazing. He's like, I never thought I'd see this again. Battery died. He's like, I never thought I'd see this again. And he showed it to him. And that's why I believe him, because he explained what the fuck that was before people knew it was real. And then eventually a picture got out of it. There was a picture of it, and he showed the picture, and then he actually is like, he went to go get it and he showed it to him. So I think that's something that they should watch if they're interested in aliens. I'm hella interested in space and everything. And they said, I remember Joe Rogan asked Elon about aliens, and he's like, if there was aliens, I would know. And people are like, what if that motherfucker's lying?
Elon don't seem like the type.
Elon seems like, well, a lot from what I've seen from him, he seems very genuine. Seems like a nice guy. Huh?
Yeah, I don't see why he would lie. I think he would say, I think, I don't know what it is. He might not have any interest in them, but I don't see how you would be going into space and not have any interest in aliens.
I remember they also asked him if it was possible to slow aging. And he said, yeah, but he said he don't want to put his resources into that. He said it's possible. But he explained why. I think he said something about how it was important for us to die. He said he's not focusing on that. He don't care about that. His main shit is like to get to Mars.
I feel like if anyone can do it, it's gonna be him. Because the only reason why everybody has because you see how he has those ships that the whole reason why space exploration is so expensive is because you have all these rockets and systems that you can't reuse, and he's able to send the rocket up and then come back down and it lands by itself in the middle of the ocean and shit. But yeah, I think within the next few years, it's gonna be good.
Thank you for listening to the AB podcast. You can follow us in the links below. All our social medias are linked there. If you want to buy some merch, the merch that we're usually wearing in the podcast, you can buy it as well. The link will be below.